So I was asked the question if modern and ancient or Tanakh Hebrew is any different, and the answer is basically not. The answer is that there are slight differences in the way that people talk, in the way it kind of would sound, in terms of sentence structure and prefixes, suffixes, but the differences are pretty minute, like it's not really significant. Anybody who speaks modern Hebrew could go and open up the Tanakh, the Hebrew Bible, and read it and understand everything. There's not really anything that's kind of outside of the grasp. I would even venture to say that the difference between ancient and modern Hebrew is actually less different than the difference between modern English and like King James English, for example. Besides for things that are like loan words that modern Hebrew takes from other languages, mainly English, for things like cars, hamburgers, you know, for example, things that didn't exist back then. Obviously, you have to come up with something. In some cases, there's actually, like electricity is hashmal, which is hashmal, it means electricity, and that's an original ancient Hebrew word. So there's examples of modern things that they've actually kind of tweaked they've taken original Hebrew words and used them to describe something modern, but in other cases they simply just borrowed words from other languages for the things that we have today that didn't exist back then. But you know what, since there's time on this video, I wanted to get into another issue. The other issue is the thing of non-Jewish scholars who might understand Hebrew, or they might understand Aramaic, or they might understand various languages. And these scholars, these, you know, like linguistic scholars or biblical scholars, they may claim that they understand the Hebrew Bible because they're able to understand Hebrew to a degree. But these people really, if you don't understand the culture behind the Hebrew, because there's a lot of idioms, there's a lot of ways that people say things. You need to be able to learn Jewish culture and Jewish language and Jewish idiomatic usage of words, and you need to understand the Jewish tradition of the Torah, which explains to you. That's where the real meaning of what you read in the Hebrew Bible can come from. So if you're just somebody who reads in Hebrew, strictly you just read in Hebrew and you read the Hebrew Bible, that means you're probably not going to understand a whole lot. To be honest with you, you're not going to understand a whole lot. A person really needs to get from the sages, from the wise men of Israel who existed all throughout from the time of Moses until just 2,000 years ago, where we had a supreme Torah court, who ruled in all the different aspects of Torah. If you don't understand that tradition, if you don't understand our culture and our religion and what the wise men, the sages of Israel said, and that whole tradition, if you don't understand that, you're not going to really understand a whole lot when you read the Hebrew Bible. There's no other language like Hebrew. In Hebrew, every single letter means something, and it has a meaning, it has a spiritual power, it has its own unique pronunciation. And those letters individually combine to form words, and a word, the reason it means something is because it's a combination of different Hebrew letters which each means something. And the word is like that not just by random, not just because somebody decided the word's going to sound like this. The word is like that with those specific Hebrew letters because each letter means something specifically which combine to form a word meaning. No other language is like that on earth.